Hello everyone, I'm a soft skill trainer from the Department of Career Planning and Development from Chandigarh University, and today's video is about answering a question: two people you admire and why. So first, I'll not be able to deliver my standard quality of video as I'm a little under the weather, and let's get this started without further ado. So this question is often asked to find out more about your values and goals. It can be also rephrased as who has inspired you in your life and why. There's no specific number of people they will require you to talk about. It could be 1, 2, and they rarely go beyond that. So hiring managers often fall back on these types of values and questions to try and learn about more than standard interview questions can tell them. So choose your answer very carefully while being honest and enthusiastic so that you can help break down barriers. Now to begin, some of the points you need to emphasize. When responding to this question, you will want to choose your examples carefully and with an eye to what your response will reveal to the hiring manager. So to begin, the first point to note is do choose someone who truly inspired you in order to ensure a more authentic response. It is easier to be honest and talk from real life experience, as telling the truth is much more convenient and hassle-free than trying to come up imaginative and creative on the spot. So second, discuss a figure that is appropriate for the position you are seeking. So as mentioned in my previous videos, all your responses to any questions asked during the interview should always aim back and bring back to the topic of the job at hand, the role that you are applying for, the duties and responsibilities and skill sets or even abilities that are required for that position. So do remember that when you select a person to talk about, or more than one, that is maybe two people to talk about, your choice should reflect and be connected and appropriate for the position you're seeking. The third point, provide specific examples of how this person inspired you. So do not be vague and do not keep it long and lengthy, which will be the next point I'll tell you about. But be specific, concise and precise. Stay to the point, respect the interviewer, both time and effort, and stick to the point. So the fourth point to emphasize is that you do not have to tell a long story here, but do provide some context about your own personal characteristics that led you to admire this person. So it's, yes, a reflection of the qualities, values and traits or even goals that you admire in other people, but it's also reflecting your own personal choice of values and goals that you hold dear for yourself. So these are the 4 points to emphasize on. Do remember, this is a very common interview question, so you should make sure that you prepare beforehand. Next, let's talk about some of the mistakes that you should avoid. So here are some tips to avoid sabotaging yourself during your response. First, don't choose a widely known and beloved figure unless this person truly is your idol. Otherwise, you risk sounding canned and unconvincing. Second, keep your answer clear and avoid explaining too much. Just tell the employer why you like this person and stop so that you avoid rambling. This again points out to the previous points that you need to remember, that do not tell a long story, keep it concise and precise. Third thing or third mistake which usually people make is don't pick a person with a particularly tragic or morbid life history unless you're using him or her as an example of someone who overcame great hardship. So in response, just talking about, don't try to make it a sob story, don't try to make it a tragic story or a Greek tragedy. Make sure there is some positive upbeat and some silver lining in the cloud whenever you choose a person who might even have maybe a morbid life history, but ensure that you are able to highlight and recognize and mention a few silver linings along the way. Finally, if you choose a family member, and there's nothing wrong with doing so, be sure you have a good explanation so you avoid sounding overly sentimental or insular. Yes, so we want to ensure that you are now an adult, you are a professional, and yes, you are allowed to have personal feelings and emotions. However, one of the requirements of a professional etiquette, manner, behavior and attitude is to be able to know when to draw the line to your personal feelings and emotions and even memories. That's called being professional at job. So do not let your emotions control you, and don't portray a character or a personality of yourself where you are controlled by your emotions. So these are the 4 mistakes that you should avoid. And once again, this question is a good one for revealing more about your personality that can't be expressed with your typical interview questions. So let me give you a sample answer for reference. Here is an example of a solid response from an applicant at a government research laboratory. So the person that's been selected over here or been used as a sample is imaginary and creativity has been used. So this is just for your reference. Of all the people who have inspired me, I have to say that Jonas Salks ranks as the top of the list. Not only was he a brilliant scientist, but more importantly, he used his genius and dedication to develop a product in the form of a life-saving vaccine that saved thousands of lives and prevented untold suffering instead of seeking personal profit like so many others would have. So remember that a question of this sort is often asked because the hiring manager wants to get to know you better and understand your thought process. So do not forget to be honest, open and confident, and you'll go a long way to getting the job. So since I told you at the beginning that this particular question is to recognize your core values, and so we'll talk about and I'll try and explain to you something about core values. Now, core values are personal values that guide you when making important decisions and while doing work. Now, determining the values that are meaningful in your life can help you develop personal and professional goals. It can also help you find jobs and companies that align with your ideals. And that's one of the questions which the companies themselves are interested in answering, getting an answer from you, so that they can ensure that these 2 goals, your as well as the companies, are parallel or at least aligned to each other. So let's take a look at what core values are and how to identify them and how you can use them to advance your career. So core values are a set of fundamental beliefs, ideals or practices that inform you how to conduct your life, both professionally as well as personally. Now, usually businesses also maintain and have some core values. These help the organization determine how to allocate resources and how important decisions need to be made and how they can plan their progress and growth. Now, most people and companies follow a small number of core values, typically prioritizing under 10 specific ideals. These values usually inform people how to interact. So when you're talking about interaction, it can be something like humility, respect, honesty. The focus of a person's or business's work. So in this, we can talk about being creative or being data driven, or having an individual responsibilities that one will be able to hold, like consistency or quality and even reliability. Now, identifying core values for yourself or within a company can provide structure and yes, sometimes even instruction, especially when dealing with a certain decision or argument or dispute, some conflict. If one of your core values is honesty, for example, you can refer back to it when making a decision about whether or not a certain piece of information should be kept secret or should be shared. So now let's try and understand how you can identify your own personal core values. So to begin, if you're unsure about what your core values are, it might be helpful to maybe take some time and reflect about things and matters and experiences or emotions which are important for you. Any behavior, any action, any decision that you made which were important to you. It might take many moments of reflection and over time to to be able to clearly identify your core values. So be patient and attentive to what motivates you, or rather drives your thoughts and helps you in making decisions. So to get an idea of what your core values might be, you can consider asking some questions to yourself, and depending on the answers you get, maybe you could find something that's suitable for you. So the questions you could ask yourself are: what kind of culture do you want to work in? And what settings or resources are necessary for you to do your best work? And what qualities do you feel make strong or healthy relationships? And what qualities do you admire most in your role models? What motivates you? And what qualities do you wish to develop in yourself, both professionally and personally? And you could also ask what your future goals are, and what qualities will it take to be able to achieve them. So consider these questions and some other questions that might help you identify your core key values and prioritize your job research or your life goals. And you can also use them as a guideline to work towards your goals and advance your career. So we'll end today's session by me giving you some examples, a list of core values that you can mention or use as inspiration, and when you're planning on preparing for your answers for the interview questions that you might be facing in the near future. So the list begins with achievement or bravery, community, even creativity. Curiosity is alright. Then for example, growth, hard work, honesty, humility, innovation, integrity, kindness, open communication, optimism, patience, quality, respect, responsibility, stability, success, tenacity, time management, and wisdom. And we can end with work and life balance. So with that, we come to an end of another video session, or rather audio session this time. And thank you for hearing it, attending it. I wish everyone a good day. Stay safe, stay happy, stay blessed. Take care and bye.